Have you ever heard of a place where gods aren't worshipped in silence, but are negotiated like merchants at a market stall? Ancient spirits don't just demand reverence, but strike deals? Welcome to Akwa Ibom's Spirit Market. This isn't a myth or a ghost story, it's real. Hidden deep within Akwa Ibom, in the heart of Nigeria's spiritual belt, there exists a marketplace unlike any other. Here, whispers become bargains, sacrifices become currency, and gods become negotiators. Modern life has pushed these stories into the shadows, but what if I told you that right now, people still come here to seek wealth, power, love, or justice, to negotiate with deities who don't live in books, but in the now. Today, we're stepping inside the spirit market of Akwa Ibom, where every transaction is a mystery, every price a secret, and every god has a price. This is not fiction. This is not fantasy. This is reality. Stay with me as we uncover the rituals, the stories, and the hidden truths of a world where the sacred and the marketplace collide. You won't want to miss this. Akwa Ibom is a place where the physical and spiritual do not simply coexist. They intertwine so intimately that to live here is to walk daily with one foot in the material world and the other in the unseen. Tucked between lush forests and winding rivers, this land is more than just a landscape. It is a living map of belief. Here, stories aren't just told. They echo through every breeze. They pulse beneath every footstep. They are etched into the very fabric of the earth. The air itself hums with an awareness that the world is not solely what the eye can see. In Akwa Ibom, every hill, every crossroads, every whisper in the dark carries the weight of something beyond comprehension. This is a land where the ancestors are not gone, but merely waiting in the shadows, where gods and spirits linger just out of sight, ready to be called upon when the need arises. The spirit market is not a metaphor. It is not a symbol conjured for storytelling convenience. It is a place as real as any market of fish or cloth or spices, but unlike any of them in purpose and presence. Here, ritual and commerce blend seamlessly, each transaction a delicate dance between earthly goods and divine favor. Imagine stalls not just filled with produce or merchandise, but with the tools of the sacred. Bundles of herbs arranged with reverence, carved effigies that seem almost to breathe, bowls of offerings set out not for customers but for gods. The vendors are not merely sellers, they are intermediaries, brokers between the world of flesh and the world of spirit. The customers come not just to buy, but to bargain with forces they cannot see, to leave behind not just payment but prayer, not just coins but a piece of their hopes and fears. This story is not for the faint of heart or the casual observer. It is not a tale of fiction or legend told to entertain around the fire. It is the unveiling of a reality that has survived despite centuries of attempts to erase it. Here, in the hidden corners of Akwa Ibom, a spiritual economy thrives, humming quietly beneath the surface of everyday life. This is the story of the spirit market. A world where gods are not only remembered but engaged with, where ancient beliefs continue not as relics, but as living, breathing practices. To witness this market is to glimpse a truth few dare to see, that the boundary between the seen and unseen is far thinner than we might believe. And once you've seen it, you can never look at the world quite the same way again. The spirit market of Akwa Ibom is not an invention of recent years. It traces its roots deep into the soil of the region's spiritual and cultural memory. Long before colonial borders were drawn and long before Christian missionaries set foot on these lands, Akwa Ibom was a world where secret societies like Ekpo and Ekpe wielded influence over both the sacred and the mundane. These societies were not clandestine in the way we think of secret organizations today. Instead, they were integral to the social, political, and spiritual frameworks of the community. Their rituals, masked performances, and symbolic enactments were, and remain, powerful tools for connecting the living to the unseen forces that shape their lives. Through Ekpo, the masquerade society associated with the ancestors, the boundary between the human and the spirit worlds thinned, allowing communication, correction, and protection. Ekpe, known for its authority and wisdom, was a governing force both in civic matters and spiritual enforcement, blending human justice with divine oversight. Within this rich tapestry of belief, Deities like Ekong, the spirit of war and protection, and Ibom Isong, the Earth Mother, were revered as custodians of balance and life. These were not distant, abstract gods. They were woven into daily existence. Offerings were made to them, not out of superstition, but out of recognition of their ongoing presence and power. Ekong's strength was called upon not only in times of conflict, but in moments where personal courage was needed. Ibom Isong's nurturing presence was honored in fertility rites and harvest blessings. Each deity held a unique place, representing forces of nature and existence that could not be ignored. They were guardians, teachers, and sometimes tricksters, reflecting the complexity of the human condition mirrored in the divine. When colonization arrived, it did not merely bring new political systems and economic exploitation, it waged a war against the very soul of Akwa Ibom's spiritual heritage. Christian missionaries labeled these beliefs as pagan, the societies as sinister, the rituals as dark. Churches were erected on land once considered sacred. Priests preached sermons against the old ways, urging converts to abandon their traditions and embrace a singular path of faith that rejected the multiplicity and nuance of their own cosmology. Families were torn between ancestral loyalty and the pressure to conform to the new spiritual order. Yet, despite the power of the colonial machine, these traditions did not vanish. They adapted, going underground when necessary, hiding behind layers of secrecy, and finding new expressions in art, music, and whispered prayers. The spirit market became both a sanctuary and a symbol of defiance. A place where the old ways be maintained, not as a rejection of the new, but as a refusal to forget. Even today, when someone steps into the market and offers a token to the spirits, they are participating in a lineage that stretches back through centuries of resilience, resistance, and remembrance. It is a testament to the enduring strength of Akwa Ibom's cultural and spiritual soul. The market winds like a labyrinth, its narrow alleys twisting and folding back upon themselves as if deliberately designed to disorient, to remind the visitor that this is not a place of clear paths or easy decisions. Smoke curls from censers and clay pots, carrying with it the rich scent of burning herbs, rosemary, frankincense, and something sharper, bitter and earthy. The air is thick, heavy with the mingling aromas, and every breath seems to pull the visitor deeper into a world that hums just beneath the surface of ordinary sight. Stalls, cobbled together from wood and cloth, lean against one another like conspirators, their tables laden with ritual items. Masks hang from posts, their hollow eyes fixed on passers-by. Statues of deities sit in silent watch, their carved faces a mixture of serene and stern, painted in bright colors that catch the flickering candlelight. Moving through this living maze are the key players of the spirit market. Spirit brokers in long, flowing garments whisper to one another, their voices low and musical, thick with the cadences of a language older than memory. Their faces are often partially hidden, veiled or masked, adding an air of secrecy to their presence. Priests move with deliberate grace, their ritual garb heavy with beads and cowries, their staffs tapping a subtle rhythm against the hard-packed earth. They carry the authority of intermediaries, individuals who have the knowledge and permission to speak on behalf of both the gods and the people. Devotees, some young, some weathered by years of practice, wait in silent anticipation, clutching bundles of offerings, kola nuts, coins, woven cloth, carved talismans. Their eyes dart nervously toward the brokers and priests, seeking a sign, a word of approval or warning. The negotiation is delicate, not a haggling over prices, but a dance of intent and offering. A woman approaches a priest, presenting a bowl filled with palm oil and a string of cowries. She bows her head, murmuring her petition, her words nearly swallowed by the murmurs and chants that swirl around her. The priest inspects the offering, nods slowly, then dips his fingers into the oil, marking her forehead with a crimson streak. But it is not always this simple. Another devotee, a young man with trembling hands, offers a carved figure of a serpent and a pouch of coins. The broker frowns, consulting the priest, who shakes his head and gestures for more. The young man hesitates, adds a sliver of cloth inscribed with a personal sigil. The priest pauses, lifts his head as if listening to something beyond the human ear, then nods. Acceptance is signaled not with a word, but with a subtle gesture. A tap of the staff, a shift of the mask, a glance that carries the weight of unseen approval. The gods and spirits venerated here are as varied as the offerings themselves. Ekong, the war spirit, is represented by carved wooden figures with fierce angular features and red markings, symbolizing strength and protection. Ibom Isong, the Earth Mother, is honored with small clay bowls filled with water and leaves, a nod to her nurturing and grounding power. Ekpe, with his leopard mask and intricate beadwork, presides over matters of justice and balance, his presence a reminder of the delicate equilibrium between power and responsibility. Each spirit has its own language of symbols, its own preferred offerings, and its own temperament. Some are quick to grant favor, others demand patience and persistence. In every corner of the market, these beings are invoked not as distant myths, but as immediate forces. Their approval sought with sincerity, their presence felt in the very air. As the visitor walks deeper into the market, the sensory overload becomes almost too much. The scent of incense, the rhythmic tapping of staffs, the low murmur of chants, the glint of candlelight on beads and cowries. It is a world where time seems suspended, where every step feels laden with meaning, and where every decision carries a weight far greater than it appears. This is not merely commerce, it is communion, a conversation between human desire and divine will. And here in the winding heart of Akwa Ibom, the gods are not only listening, they are speaking in gestures and glances, in the rustle of cloth, in the flicker of flame. People come to the spirit market for many reasons. Some arrive seeking protection from unseen forces that threaten to disrupt their lives, protection for their homes, their families, or even for their own fragile peace of mind. Others come in search of wealth, not just the currency that fills pockets, but the prosperity that sustains generations, the kind that roots itself in favor and blessings. There are those who seek justice, justice that the human world has failed to deliver. Those wronged in business, betrayed in love, harmed by the silent whispers of enemies who hide behind polite smiles. They come with heavy hearts, clutching offerings in trembling hands, hoping to tip the scales in their favor. Then there are those who seek healing, both physical and spiritual, for ailments that modern medicine can neither name nor cure. And there are those, too, who come in the darker shades of humanity, those who desire revenge, who long for retribution against those who have wronged them. In the spirit market, all these human longings find a voice, a pathway, a ritual. Here, nothing is too small or too great to bring to the gods. This is not simply superstition or the desperate clinging to fading traditions. It is rooted in a spiritual worldview where the seen and unseen worlds are deeply intertwined. In Akwa Ibom, as in many parts of Africa, there is no rigid boundary between what is physical and what is spiritual. The ancestors do not belong to the past. They are present, guiding and observing. The gods are not distant figures trapped in myths. They are living forces that shape destinies, influence the tides of fortune, and weigh the sincerity of human intent. Every transaction in the spirit market is an acknowledgement of this interconnectedness. It is an admission that the human story is not complete without the threads of the divine woven through it. When a devotee offers palm oil or kola nuts, it is not merely a gesture. It is a conversation, a plea, a statement of faith that recognizes the balance of life is held not just in human hands, but in the hands of the spirits. What is most remarkable is not just that these traditions have survived, but how they have adapted and endured through centuries of pressure and change. Colonial forces came with their rigid doctrines, branding these practices as backward or demonic, seeking to erase them from public life. Yet they persisted, reshaped in secret, passed down in whispers, camouflaged in songs and stories, hidden behind masks and metaphors. In modern Akwa Ibom, despite the proliferation of churches and the encroachment of urban life, the spirit market still stands as a testament to resilience. It is a living monument to a worldview that refuses to be silenced, a culture that adapts without surrendering its essence. This resilience is not merely an act of cultural preservation, it is an act of defiance, a declaration that faith, in all its complexity and depth, cannot be so easily extinguished. It is a reminder that the human spirit, when intertwined with the divine, finds ways to endure. Controversy has always hovered around the spirit market. its presence both magnetic and unsettling to outsiders and insiders alike. To some, these practices are dismissed as relics of a pagan past, dangerous superstitions that should have been abandoned long ago. Critics, particularly those influenced by imported religious doctrines, often view the rituals as dark, even malevolent, painting them as a threat to moral and spiritual purity. They speak of the dangers of dabbling in forces too complex and too unpredictable, warning of spiritual contamination and social disruption. Some accuse the market of exploiting vulnerable people, suggesting that desperate individuals are manipulated into giving away their wealth or engaging in morally questionable acts. For these critics, the market represents a shadowy underworld best left in the past. Yet, if we were to listen to the voices within the community, those who walk these narrow paths and leave offerings at candlelit stalls, the story shifts. Scholars and anthropologists, observing with the patience of those who understand cultural nuance, describe the market not as a den of superstition, but as a sophisticated system of belief that continues to shape community identity. This is not about fear, one might say. It's about continuity. It's about maintaining a dialogue between the living and the divine, a dialogue that has been part of this land long before colonial borders were drawn. A participant, her face half-shadowed by the hood of her wrapper, might add softly, "People think this is about evil, but for us, it's about survival. It's about knowing that in this uncertain world, we are not alone, that someone or something is listening." Among younger generations, the response is more fragmented. Some, raised in the glow of modernity and the rhetoric of imported religions, turn away from the market with a mix of skepticism and embarrassment. They dismiss it as outdated, irrelevant, even shameful. Yet others, driven by a hunger for roots and identity, embrace it. They come to the market not as passive observers, but as active participants, reinterpreting the rituals in ways that blend the old and the new. They might film their visits for social media, blending sacred symbols with digital filters, or integrate traditional prayers with contemporary beats in underground music scenes. For them, the market is not merely a place of mystery, but a site of cultural reclamation, a space where they can assert an identity that refuses to be erased by time or external judgment. In this complex interplay of rejection, reinterpretation, and revival, the spirit market continues to exist, its controversy mirroring the broader tensions of cultural survival and adaptation. It stands as a testament to the human need to connect with something greater, even as that need is questioned and challenged from within and without. The spirit market is not just a place, it is a battleground of belief, a reflection of a community wrestling with its past and its future, and a reminder that faith, in all its forms, is never as simple as outsiders might assume. The spirit market of Akwa Ibom is more than a place of transactions. It is a mirror reflecting the resilience, mysticism, and complexity of a culture that refuses to be erased. In its winding alleys and shadowed stalls, one can hear the echoes of ancient voices, feel the pulse of ancestral memory, and sense the quiet strength of a people who have held fast to their beliefs, even in the face of erasure. This market is not merely a site of exchange. It is a living testament to the power of continuity and adaptation, a space where old and new, seen and unseen, come together in a delicate, dynamic dance. It is a reminder that spirituality is not static, but a living, breathing force that moves with the times while retaining its core essence. As you consider this glimpse into Akwa Ibom's hidden spiritual world, ask yourself, is this a fading relic of the past, a practice destined to vanish under the weight of modernity and skepticism? Or is it a mirror reflecting humanity's timeless longing for connection, for control over the uncertain, for a bridge between the tangible and the invisible? In every whispered prayer, every candlelit offering, every careful negotiation between the human and the divine, we see not just a ritual, but a profound expression of what it means to be human. To seek understanding, to ask for guidance, to hope for favor. So as you step away from this story, may you carry with you not just the images of masked figures and smoky stalls, but a deeper recognition of the spirit that drives us all. I pray for you, my viewers. May your paths be clear, your hearts open, and your days filled with light. May the divine presence, however you name it, walk with you in wisdom and in peace. May your journeys be guided by truth, your actions rooted in love, and your voices strong in the face of uncertainty. Light a candle tonight, not in fear, but in understanding. Speak the names of your ancestors, of the spirits who walk with you. Share this story, not as mere content, but as a reflection of something deeper, something shared by all who search for meaning. Like, comment, and subscribe if you are ready to explore more hidden spiritual worlds. The story continues with you.